Topping today's news, the Minister of Tourism touting strong tourism numbers as arrivals have the potential to break records. New government ministers meet to share and obtain details on their new portfolios, and the police cracking down on stolen car rings and drivers who fail to obey traffic laws. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It is a pleasure to have you join us. The Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation is excited to reveal tourism performances has outpaced projections for the first 7 months of 2023. Current numbers put the country well on the way to closing out the year at 8 million plus visitors. During the weekly press briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister this morning, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, shared the remarkable arrival numbers that can only bode well for the continued economic rebound.
As you may already know, tourism announced yesterday that arrival numbers have outpaced last year's by a significant margin. From January through July, we had more than 5.8 million visitor arrivals. We are pacing 59% ahead of 2022 and 30% ahead of 2019, which was our busiest year ever. Forward bookings continue to be very strong. We see no reason, barring an act of God, that we won't surpass 8 million visitors this year, which would be a record.
Minister Cooper credits the impressive arrival numbers to the government's global missions efforts in various U.S. markets, including California, Texas, New York, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia.
In March alone, we had nearly 1 million visitors. So this should tell you about the pace at which this is all going. We've increased traffic from almost all of our source markets. All 16 island destinations are showing its strongest performance ever. Average daily room rates are up. Occupancy at hotels is up. And most importantly, tourism spending is up. Of our 5.8 total visitors, 5.8 million, that is, total visitors, more than 1.3 million came by air, whilst 4.76 million came by sea.
The tourism minister says while the government is pleased with the results and the number of tourists choosing the Bahamas to vacation, they are not taking anything for granted and will continue on the current success.
But we're not resting on our laurels. We will continue to build our brand. We will continue to promote our offerings. And we will continue to innovate. We plan to make it easier for visitors and Bahamians to legitimately enter the Bahamas with an electronic immigration declaration form. We expect an act of Parliament early in the new session to allow this. We also plan to start business incubation centers through the Tourism Development Corporation in Nassau, Grand Bahama, and Exuma. We have already received funding from the Saudi Fund for Development for this purpose, and we anticipate moving ahead with incubation centers in more of our island destinations in the future.
The Deputy Prime Minister says the stronger than expected results speaks to the vibrancy of the Bahamas' brand, methodical business strategies, and the hard work of the tourism industry professionals and stakeholders. Speaking with the media for the first time since the Prime Minister announced a change in his portfolio from Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources and Family Island Affairs to Minister of Public Works and Utilities and Family Island Affairs, Clay Sweeting looked back on some of his achievements since coming to office.
I don't know if you have enough time on your news segment for that, but for us, I think some of our major accomplishments, of course, would have been the golden yoke. Of course, would be one, to reduce or eliminate the imports of eggs in this country. That should be rolled out shortly, and Minister Campbell will do a great job of continuing that project. We also launched grant programs where last year alone we allocated $1.8 million in grants to the fishermen and farmers in this country. A portion of that was specified directly to climate smart agriculture. This year we have $1 million that Minister Campbell would launch in short order. We also continue to, we'll have the cultivation center that should be up and going in a few weeks, which would be inclusive of some food kitchens, not just here in New Providence, but in the Family Islands as well for processors. So it's we named sailing as a national sport. So it's a lot of things that we accomplished here. But for me, I had a good support team, and I'm sure Minister Campbell would be in good hands, because the reality is without a good team, a lot of these accomplishments would not be able to come to fruition.
Sweeting will now set his focus on the Ministry of Works in conjunction with his continued work in the Ministry of Family Island Affairs, or the Department of Family Island Affairs. Two ministries, Prime Minister Philip Davis said, go hand in hand in light of the government's major emphasis on Family Island development, where major roadworks, airport, and other developments are set to take place.
For me, a lot of my colleagues and along myself, serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. I'm excited about my new role. I loved my time here at the Ministry of Agriculture as well. So for me, wherever the Prime Minister sends, I give my 120% and ensure that we are successful in whatever ministry. So we're looking at doing a lot of work through this country, especially in the Family Islands, so they will get the attention. The ministry would now be the Ministry of Works and Family Island Affairs. So the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, merged the two to ensure that the Family Islands were able to get the special attention they need as well.
Minister Sweeting said he has already met with former Minister of Works and Utilities, Alfred Sayers, to speak about ongoing projects in the Ministry of Works. He noted that he had a similar meeting with incoming Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, Jomo Campbell. The government's new donor transplant program will begin at its earliest convenience. This coming from Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Dowell, on Wednesday, while he gave an update on the process of the program. The health minister previously indicated during the budget debate that the government expects to launch the Bahamas National Organ Transplant Program before the end of this year.
And it is a transplant program that is presently being activated. As a matter of fact, yesterday we met with some of our key team players. We're about now to start training of our nurses in the UK and getting everything ready as far as the manpower resources are concerned to start first in the country, kidney transplants, and then it would expand to other types of transplant surgery.
Dr. Dowell says steps are currently being made to get the program off the ground.
Well, in the budget, I spoke about trying to get it up off the ground this year. I know there are a lot of Bahamians who suffer from end-stage renal disease on dialysis. And our initial approach to organ transplant, particularly kidneys, it's live donors, which that means if you are in kidney failure and you have a loved one who's prepared to donate a kidney, we try to investigate whether you're a match, and then we put you on our list for possible transplant surgery, which will improve the quality of life of many of our patients who are presently on dialysis. But I want to make it clear that not everyone qualifies for transplant surgery. And so that's the reason why our medical team, our surgical team, along with our consultants from the UK, will begin to see cases the minute everything is in place and our nurses are trained, and go through the stages where we'll start the interviewing processes with family and potential donors and see exactly whether or not you're a true candidate or not. But this administration is committed to start a transplant program in the Bahamas at its earliest convenience, and the steps are presently being made with our team locally.
That was Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Dowell. Operation United Force saw over 100 Royal Bahamas police officers take to the streets of the capital on Wednesday evening, conducting a special road operation in an effort to crack down on stolen vehicles and motorists failing to abide the traffic laws, or abide by the traffic laws. Assistant Commissioner of Police Craig Stubbs spoke about the operation.
The operation is geared up to target for crime, for the reduction of crime, to eliminate the fear of crime. one of the primary focus of this operation, we're going to be targeting suspected stolen vehicles. I know for the year so far, I think we have more than enough stolen vehicles recorded in New Providence. We're going to be targeting those suspected stolen vehicles, and they will be more of the Japanese version models vehicles. We're going to be targeting them. We're also going to be targeting prolific offenders, persons who are known to be committing serious offenses, the armed robberies, persons who we expect to be involved in a lot of the shooting incidents that we see in New Providence. We will be targeting them also. We're also going to be targeting persons who believe involved in illicit drug sales. There'll be all those hotspots. We're going to be targeting all the hotspots for the duration of the operation, with the hope to bring fair and calm in those communities that we see where we have a lot of these incidents occurring.
Officers were stationed at various checkpoints conducting an aggressive island-wide stops and search. During the exercise, officers ticketed a number of motorists for uninsured and unlicensed vehicles. Name checks for warrants were carried out as well. There were also instances where the car disc did not match the number on the license plates, which is an arrestable offense. Now, for those who are not sure if there is a warrant out for your arrest in relation to previous traffic violations, Assistant Commissioner of Police Sewg Dames shares the following tips.
Well, if you are not sure that you have a warrant, it might be where you were stopped by the police at one point and you were given a ticket. The date on that ticket has passed. If the date has passed, there was a second date on that for you to appear before the courts. And so if you have not ensured that that ticket was taken care of, that second date, a warrant was issued for you. So we want to advise you to go into your nearest police station or to call even 919 so that we can check the database to ensure that a warrant isn't out for you. And if there is a warrant out for you, please, we ask please that you come in to the station at Nassau Street or at the courts on Nassau Street, and we would assist you with that warrant. Especially if it's a traffic warrant, we will do our best to assist you. But to those criminals who you know that there is warrants out there for you and you are not presenting yourself, the police is out here, we are searching for you, and we want to assure you that we will get you.
That was Assistant Commissioner of Police Sewg Dames. Police are investigating 2 separate cases of stolen vehicles happening earlier this week and requesting the public's assistance in locating the 2 vehicles. According to reports on Wednesday, police received reports of a stolen 2011 plum-colored Nissan March license plate number AY9509, which again, AY9509, taken from a residence on Devonshire Street, Cable Beach, between 6 p.m. on Tuesday and 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning. In another incident, a 2015 white Suzuki van, license plate number AV9014, was reportedly stolen from the parking lot of an educational institution situated on University Boulevard sometime around 3 p.m. If these vehicles are seen, members of the public are asked to contact the police at 919-911 or call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477. And finally, in this segment, officials from the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort are satisfied with the amended plans for the $100 million Royal Caribbean International Paradise Island Beach Club. This much is coming from Atlantis President and Managing Director Audrey Oswald. When asked what motivated the change in position regarding the project, Ms. Oswald says, despite what was reported, Atlantis was never against the RCI Beach Club on the western end of Paradise Island. She specified that there were a number of concerns that needed to be addressed.
We did not change our position. Atlantis was never against the Royal Caribbean project. All we did was express environmental concerns to both Royal Caribbean and to government. Once we expressed those environmental concerns, both Royal Caribbean and government gave us their word that they would work to address those concerns, and we're pleased to say that they have. In their plans and presentation to DEPP, we raised additional questions. We received the answers to those questions, and we are both thankful and recognize and acknowledge that they made significant changes and alterations to their original plans for the Beach Day project, responding to the environmental concerns that were addressed by us. So we're pleased that they addressed them. We're happy to see the project going forward, and we have not changed our position.
In the highest echelon of societies, young men and women are bombarded at every turn. But if you want to advance they look for sexual favors or there is sexual harassment. And I cry shame on that. And the proliferation has become such that the work that we do as women's organizations is being shortcut by this. And that is why we are seeing the level of rape in the country, because so many people are just exhausted by this whole overthought of sexuality. Sex is a private thing. It shouldn't be on the table. It should be in the bedroom. And when we bring it out there and it becomes a matter in a boardroom, in an office, where people looking for a job have to do a sexual favor for someone, or they're being sexually harassed, this comes out eventually in the society. This is why we are seeing this increase of rape and assault. Leadership in the country has to make that change. The church in the country has to help make that change, and persons individually have to make that change.
Oswald, in a statement made earlier this year, said there were concerns about the original plans that call for work to be done along the coastline and the long-term effects it may have. She says RCI did, in fact, take those concerns into consideration and has altered those plans. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.